Hey folks, Ned Canty here, General Director of Opera Memphis and Stage Director for our production of Elixir of Love, which is opening on Saturday, February 2nd, which is a week from tomorrow. So tonight we just finished day 12. We spent the afternoon reviewing Act 2, refining a few things, polishing some stuff, playing around a little bit. We ended up changing the ending with Belcore. As we discussed, we sort of realized that this character of the librarian could pretty easily be tracked through and be given a very interesting relationship with the character of Belcore that would start out very early on with his big cadenza in his first number and could then pay off at the very end of the opera. So we decided to go for that. Again, it's that question of how do you want to remember Belcore? Do you want him to be crushed or do you want him to be redeemed? And this is kind of a little bit of both based on what the character is like. So anyway, I think it'll work well. But in terms of what we talked about last night, that's where we ended up. And then this evening, we have Jim Sale, our lighting designer in town. He arrived today, and we did our designer run, which is a chance for us to go through the whole opera with the director, me in this case, sitting next to the lighting designer, sometimes the costume designer, and just kind of talking through if there are particular moments where you have an idea, giving them that sense. If there's something that isn't the way it's actually going to be, you make sure that they know that actually, that group of people will be further back, or there's, this element missing that will be there on stage once we arrive there. It's always a little frightening, and it's you often, and in this case it was the first time you go through the whole show without stopping. So there's definitely some angst to try to get it all right. And with comedy, it's all about precision. And when you do something for the first time, the first thing to go out the window is that precision. So really, this is a good way to think of a director run through is as triage. You do it, you get a sense of, okay, these are the things that just need a note or a reminder. These are the things that we really need to look at when we're on stage and spacing things around and maybe changing a few things. So it's very helpful in that way, very useful, although very scary as well. It's especially important because Jim and I, this lighting designer and I, have never worked with each other. And that first time when you're working together, there are a lot of stylistic things that you want to make sure you're clear on. For instance, my lighting in a comedy, there are many times when I like it to be very crisp and sharp. So you do a lot of what they call bump cues. So, when the music goes ba-ba, you might go from, very low light to very bright light or something along those lines. Or maybe the whole stage goes dark and all that's left is, one spotlight on somebody. So there's I like to use those, but only a couple times in each show and at very specific moments. So we talk through things like that, the use of footlights, whether or not a moment is sort of suspended and we can have moody lighting, or whether it's more realistic and we want it to feel like the middle of the day. All those sorts of things that go into really sculpting what you put on stage. I think that lighting designers are really one of the most important collaborators you have, and I think are sometimes the least appreciated by the general public, because if they're doing their jobs right, you don't often notice the lighting. They're blending everything together so well that it just becomes part of the whole. If their lighting stands out, sometimes it's not for the right reason. So I think talking through these things, getting this under our belt, and then next week in our lighting rehearsals, that's really one of the most important storytelling elements we have, especially in a piece like this or Barber of Seville, any of the comedies where you have moments where some people are frozen and other people are talking to you. They're giving you their thoughts that take place in an instant. So everybody else is not moving on stage, and you need to create this altered reality in which that happens. And we hear one person's flash of thought in an instant, expanded over, 2-3 pages of music sometimes. So that's what tonight was about. Tomorrow we will be rehearsing Jesse Koza, who is my assistant director and is also in the opera and has also been helping out in a million different ways. He is going to be running that rehearsal. I will be at Atlanta Opera judging a 24-hour opera contest, which is kind of awesome. So I'm looking forward to that, but it does mean that I probably will not be giving you a Day 13 video because I won't have anything to talk about because I wouldn't have seen anything. So the next time you hear from me is going to be Monday. On Monday, we will be loading the set into the theater over at GPAC, and Monday night we'll have our first on-stage rehearsal. Usually what that means is no costumes yet, no lights, but you're actually on the set. If there are steps here, you can actually walk up them or walk down them. If there's a door here, you're actually closing it. So that sort of thing is very useful, another very important step in this process of putting together the opera. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll miss you while I'm off in Atlanta, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Thanks. Bye.